of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said that you're
creating
creating a
story. Public policy.
Sorry, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
Just one of the most glorious, awkward silences ever. Where it's just like, I know you're just, you're running on autopilot right now. You're just spewing whatever you want, but you did just say a couple sentences ago that you created the story. Did you stand by that statement now? What was that?
The city's resettlement of Haitian immigrants. 2 colleges in Springfield, Wittenberg University and Clark State College, also received shooting and bombing threats over the weekend, prompting officials to cancel events and move classes online. On Sunday, Vance defended the far-right racist lies during an interview with CNN's Dana Bash.
The Clark County Sheriff and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources reviewed 11.
I'm going to play this in its entirety because it actually is pretty impressive how not only did, J.D. Vance agree to this, but actually gets called out very aggressively in this interview about all his lies and then kind of just admits, yeah, I was making it up. But I was making it up because it's based on real stories of people who were telling me. And I got multiple calls from actual residents who said that they firsthand experienced their animals and pets being taken and eaten by Haitian immigrants. And so even if there is no evidence of this ever taking place, there seems to be a lot of concerned citizens. And that's what we're all about. We're here to bring our concerns to you, the people.
7 months of 911 calls. They only identified 2 instances of people alleging Haitians were taking geese out of parks. They found 0 evidence to substantiate those claims. Also, other evidence that you have talked about, even you've retweeted alleged evidence, are unsourced social media videos from a different city, apparently no connection to Haitians. And this is from a conservative activist who offered a $5,000 reward for such things. And then going just backly to the schools and the hospitals and so forth being overwhelmed, nobody is disputing that the town of Springfield, Ohio.
Jad the Great, thank you very much for resubscribing with Prime, and Impressed Progressive, thanks for resubscribing as well. Appreciate both of you, and I think I gave a shout out, but thank you to Hanny Got a Fanny and Benad84 as well. Yo, One Topic, so good to see you, friendo. Listen, I know I'm lying, but I was doing it for the attention. I know, it's so thoroughly repulsive. It's so disgusting, and it's like, I understand why, Rebecca was going through so much trouble to try and tell people, even if you're trying to make memes to try and play along and be like, this is all fun and games kind of shit, because a lot of people are just posting memes in all directions right now. The people who are going to suffer are the Haitian immigrants in that region and their children specifically, especially when multiple schools are getting bomb threats called in, and now schools and classes are being canceled. There's lots of families, Haitian families who've been saying that they're scared to bring their kids outside. They're scared to take their kids. They're scared to go grocery shopping right now because of how aggressive this has gotten. Even the mayor of Springfield, Ohio, who had previously made statements that, yes, you could say are xenophobic in nature about the, the amount and the waves of immigration that are coming in, has now had to start going in front of cameras and releasing statements saying that there is absolutely no evidence, none, 0, of Haitian immigrants stealing animals, pets, or trying to consume them. There's none whatsoever. It is 100% just a racist conspiracy theory, one in which, in a normal and sane world, someone like J.D. Vance and Donald Trump would immediately issue a correction. Or state, yes, while we are deeply concerned about the citizens, especially when it comes to J.D. Vance, my constituents, you're fucking, you are the senator. We care deeply about our constituents, and that's why we have concerns about their safety, which is why, of course, we're trying to listen to their concerns. But based on both the police reports, the mayor, and numerous government officials, it turns out that there's absolutely 0 cases of, again, Haitian immigrants trying to steal white people's pets, white people's cats, white people's dogs. And so, yes, at this point, we will have to say that is in fact not true. Pants on fire.
Needs help. But you're not just a bystander. You're the senator from Ohio. So instead of saying things that are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools, the government buildings to be evacuated because of bomb threats, because of the cats and dogs thing, why not actually be constructive in helping to better integrate them into the community? Because there are a lot of employers there who say that the Haitian workers are helping fill jobs that they need desperately filled.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that...
So it's the same strategy over and over and over. Like, you're called out on your shit, and instead of being like, okay, well, factually you are correct, it's like, well, I mean, you're a deplorable scumbag who's trying to do propaganda for the DNC, and obviously you're fake news, so I'm going to be calling you that. So let's start out with the attack.
That I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth. It's disgusting. The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator, this happened after you and President Trump were on the debate stage, said that cats and dogs.
Now, you might be wondering, how did we get here? You know, how did we get to this point where, you know, you've got the vice presidential candidate of the United States consistently pushing a debunked conspiracy theory, even though at this point it is now resulting in stochastic terrorism. There's acts of terrorism where people are calling in bomb threats to schools and to the city officials, that kind of shit. It's really, really bad. Why is this happening? And so I put together a video. I'm working on it. I'm going to be releasing it on the Serfs main channel, but I figured I'd give all of you an early watch because I was starting to put all the little clips together. And once you start doing that, the story of both this and how people like, say, Nick Fuentes, Laura Loomer, far-right extremists, and yes, very demonstrable racists, have kind of been playing a role in this entire fiasco. So I've got a little bit of a timeline here.
His rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will...
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Just, you know, some trash dog food from China, okay? These are supplements and these are products that are so healthy and natural that you could actually eat it yourself. So you can see here, positive bison. It clearly says dog food topper. And I'm going to put this in my mouth right now. So it tastes like meat, and maybe that is disgusting to you.
And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again.
Only one man has the proven experience we need, Ronald Reagan for president.
Clarify here, you bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Our Haitian associates come to work every day. They don't have a drug problem. They'll stay at their machine. They'll achieve their numbers. They are here to work. And so in general, that's a stark difference from what we're used to in our community.
McGregor acknowledges the sudden arrival of so many new immigrants is a challenge on multiple fronts, but he believes this is partly how the industrial Midwest can regrow.
We want more jobs in our community. And in order to fill those jobs, some jobs need to be people who were not originally from here.
The people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
television. But the people on television saying their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice President Harris.
Do you have any confirmed reports of Haitian migrants eating dogs and cats in Springfield?
We do not. They're eating the dogs.
Are you a racist?
Well, I didn't discuss it with JD. In all fairness, JD and I.
The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to, create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do.
Did you hear what he said there? Right there? I think that was definitely a little slip. like, you know, he thinks he's just breezing through this. He's already called her out. He's already been like, hey, you're fake news. This is propaganda, etc. Look, if I have to create stories to get people to care about issues, we will. And that's what the whole cat memes thing is all about.
Dana,
You just said that you're
be
creating
talking
a
about
story.
public policy.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you
Yes.
created. So
I mean, at this point, what more do you need?
Trump and have caused, you know, civil unrest and chaos in our country for the last 7 years through Crossfire Hurricane and also through these what I believe are illegal witch hunts against the president of the United States right now, unconstitutional witch hunts against Donald Trump. They are treasonous. They are traitors. They should get the death penalty. When
Tell Laura what to do. Laura's a supporter. I have a lot of supporters, but I don't know what exactly.
After a speaker at the Springfield City Commission meeting warned that, quote, crime and savagery will only increase with every Haitian you bring in. And that man turned out to be a leader of a neo-Nazi group calling itself Blood Pride.
Yeah. Good job. Good job. We got a neo-Nazi conspiracy theory that's reached all the way to the ex-president of the United States and was spouted on the debate stage. So, great job, Republicans. Cool stuff. And as you continue to spew all this racist bile, it seems like there's more and more horrifying events taking place. Don't know if you all saw this. This is being distributed in Springfield, according to a local pastor. Foreigners and Haitians out. There is no place in America for this filth. We do not need more police officers. We need mass deportation. 1/4 of Springfield is already in poverty. Now $2 million is being used to care for these beasts of the fields. America first. Join us and stand against forced immigration. Genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, fuck all of you. Fuck all of you. Like, Jesus, this fucking racist ass bile got as far as this, and now, like, the very people who are revitalizing the local economy have to deal with it. Have to deal with straight up fucking KKK flyers being handed out, and it's just like, well, I mean, at the end of the day, who can really say? I mean, Laura Loomer, Donald Trump likes me. Donald Trump trusts me.
these political science professors were worried that, you know, these Muslim students were going to go to the administrators at Barry University and complain about the professors, right? Because, oh my God, Islamophobia. So if you say that 9/11 was carried out by Muslim terrorists, oh my God, Islamophobia. But if you...
To be clear, she said 9/11 was an inside job. She's pushed that conspiracy theory numerous times. It's like, it's so wild that, like, this was the person who Donald Trump thought was appropriate to bring to his 9/11 memorial.
if you call for the 9/11 records to be declassified, you're a 9/11 truther, 9/11 conspiracy theorist. The media is full of shit. Okay, these people are liars. They are con artists, and all they do is lie. They are running a coordinated smear campaign because I am effective. Donald Trump likes me. Donald Trump trusts me, okay? Obviously, he trusts me if I'm on his plane, and I don't work for Donald Trump. They can't imagine the fact that the president of the United States has people in his life who he considers to be friends.
Now, disgraced Republican pundit Milo Yiannopoulos has released statements saying that he has confirmation that they are currently engaged in an affair. His worth in terms of truth telling is 0. He's got none. It's next to dirt. But he has now started, I believe, a firestorm of other right-wingers who are now starting to echo the same sentiments. Even those who are not saying that they might be having an affair. Again, it shocked me to learn that there's a significant age gap. I didn't know that she was 31 years old, but between a 31-year-old and an 80-year-old, that it could be very well possible. I don't have any direct confirmation that it is taking place. But there's a lot more right-wingers who are just deeply and profoundly upset that this whole thing seems to be really tarnishing what little credibility is left in terms of the whole MAGA crowd not being extremists or not being extreme racists. Because as soon as you get Laura Loomer in your inner circle, someone who, again, is an extreme racist, there's a very long documented history of it, and is currently just producing racist bile right now, and then, you know, tweeting it out, saying it on her show, all that kind of stuff. It does look bad if you're not going to condemn any of it, let alone if you have people and reporters saying, here's a racist thing she said, and you're like, oh, that's okay. And that was Trump's response. It's like, here's one of the things she said. Oh, yeah, that's okay.
Is the president of the United States not allowed to have a friend? Oh my God, is he not allowed to invite people onto his own private jet? Oh, the horror that a billionaire who owns a private jet invited somebody that he gets along with to sit on his jet. They're making up all these conspiracies and these lies, saying that I prepped Donald Trump for his debates and that I'm a 9/11 truther and that I disrespected people.
So I don't know if you prepped Donald Trump for his debate. If you did, bravo, well done. Please keep prepping him. Do everything you can in your power to make sure Donald Trump is prepared for all public speaking events. Make sure that you are going to prepare him in the best of ways. I think that debate was an absolute and utter disaster for Trump. So if that was the case, that's very funny. I don't know if that's true, though. It could be. It is just unusual that Donald Trump was flying with you and arrived to that debate with you in the private jet because, again, you're a far-right extremist who's very, well-connected with a lot of other far-right extremists, Nick Fuentes, for example, and the entire, the Groypers and the America First movement and all that kind of shit. So, yeah, there's a lot of people, who, especially Republicans, who are just like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you letting Laura Loomer publicly be within the inner circle and continuing to defend her along the way?
People at the 9/11 memorial. No, I went to the 9/11 memorial and it was a very somber moment. We were there, I stood there, and then we went to Shanksville and I got to see the Shanksville memorial as well. And I was speaking to people whose family members were killed in the 9/11 Islamic terrorist attacks. And these people liked me very much. They actually asked to get a photo with me at the end. So I just think it's really interesting how the media has to lie about me and they have to make me out to be some demon, some horrific person. I mean, the type of coverage that they are running nonstop all week.
They're writing your own words and comments. If you think that makes you appear in a negative light, then I would stop saying them. I would stop saying extremely racist things. The majority of clips I've seen, because I've watched a whole bunch before today, including CNN, ABC, MSNBC, all these major news networks covering Laura Loomer. They were just posting your tweets and statements, your exceptionally racist ones, and saying that, yeah, this is really, really bad. That someone who is this extreme and racist is this close to the president of the United States. It's not a good thing.
Week long on MSNBC and CNN attacking me and leading with me on the head of every single one of their shows.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons for that. All right, let's see J.D. Vance getting put in the hot seat.
Republican Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance, who represents Ohio in the U.S. Senate. Thank you for being here, sir. So the mayor of Springfield, Ohio, Rob Rue, said, quote, all these federal politicians that have negatively spun our city, they need to know they're hurting our city. And it was their words that did it. Before Donald Trump talked about eating dogs and cats on a debate stage, it was you, Senator, who first elevated this baseless rumor. These are your constituents. So why are you putting them at risk by continuing to spread claims about Haitian immigrants, despite officials in your state saying that there's no evidence and pleading for you to stop?
Well, Dana, first of all, what's putting the residents of Springfield at risk, which was a town completely ignored by the American media until Donald Trump and I started surfacing some of these concerns, is that they can't afford housing, they can't afford health care. The schools have been overwhelmed, the hospitals have been overwhelmed, and they're overwhelmed because Kamala Harris allowed 20,000 Haitian migrants to get...
See, you're still doing it, right? You started by kind of trying to pivot, being like, oh, no, I wasn't trying to spread racist conspiracy theories about, again, black immigrants eating cats and dogs. That wasn't, the basis. I was trying to bring attention, because no one pays attention to Springfield, Ohio otherwise, to the fact that, they can't afford housing and healthcare because, again, the black immigrants have taken everything when they arrived.
It dropped into a small Ohio town of about 40,000 people, and it's completely overwhelmed the services. Now, you ask, why...
Again, it's one of those things where when you watch interviews with the people who run the factories in Springfield, Ohio, they're like, the Haitian immigrants have been incredible. they've revitalized the local economy. They're very good workers. They show up on time. They don't do drugs. They go to church. It's not what we're used to when dealing with, again, the other locals of the area.
I talked about some of the things that I've been talking about. Let me just say this. My constituents have brought approximately a dozen separate concerns to me, 10 of them are verifiable and confirmable, and a couple of them I talk about because my constituents are telling me firsthand that they're seeing these things. So I have two options, Dana. I can ignore them, which is what the American media has done for years to this community, or I can actually talk about what people are telling me. And of course, many of the things that the media says are completely baseless have since been confirmed. For example, I was told, Dana, that by the American media that it was baseless that migrants were capturing the geese from the local park pond and eating them. And yet there are 911 calls from well before this ever became a viral sensation of people complaining about that exact thing happening. So my attitude is listen to my constituents. Sometimes they're going to say things that people don't like, but they're saying things that people don't like because their town has been overwhelmed, and it's my job to try to fight for them and to protect them. Kamala Harris opened.
Now, I'm obviously no fan of Dana Bash, but when you have someone who is running for the vice president of the United States, again, spewing and continuing to spew, doubling, tripling, and quadrupling down on the racist conspiracy theories, well, please, for the love of God, if you're the interviewee, do a journalism and directly refute every single thing he just said, which is what takes place right after here.
The border, and now these people are suffering. That's what I'm focused on, Dana.
Senator, I have to go through several things that you just said. First of all, the Clark County Sheriff and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources reviewed 11 months of 911 calls. They only identified 2 instances of people alleging Haitians were taking geese out of parks. They found 0 evidence to substantiate those claims. Also, other evidence that you have talked about, even you've retweeted alleged evidence, are unsourced social media videos from a different city, apparently no connection to Haitians. And this is from a conservative activist who offered a $5,000 reward for such things.
Christopher Rufo. Yeah, that same Christopher Rufo did a whole thing where he's like, I will give he called it a bounty. I will provide a $5,000 bounty for anyone who can provide verifiable video evidence of Haitians stealing or eating white people's pets. And he didn't use the term white people, but the implication's there as well. It turns out he didn't get that video. The picture that a lot of you have seen circulating by right-wingers, the one where it shows a black man holding a goose, being like, oh, so it's not real? What's going on here? Yeah, that image has been sourced. It turns out that was a person who had removed a roadkill from the road and was getting it off the road. Again, you would consider that normally to be a public service, but in this case, the racism, don't let it get in the way of a good story, right?
And then going just backly to the schools and the hospitals and so forth being overwhelmed, nobody is disputing that the town of Springfield, Ohio needs help. But you're not just a bystander.
Oh, sorry, yeah, it was a city worker to add to that as well.
You're the senator from Ohio. So instead of saying things that are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools, the government buildings to be evacuated because of bomb threats, because of the cats and dogs thing, why not actually be constructive in helping to better integrate them into the community? Because there are a lot.
And again, that's another part of this that's kind of crucial, is that, like, you have to remember that he is actually the senator from Ohio. So every single time he talks about how, well, not a lot of people know this, but Ohio actually is just terrible. It's got terrible conditions. The people have really been betrayed by their politicians. You're the politician, though. that's you, sir. And it's actually the actual members of the town, including the mayor of Springfield, Ohio, who are now coming forward saying, stop. Please stop with all the racist, xenophobic conspiracy theories, because we are now getting extremely overwhelmed with all this attention that is being paid. Not to mention all of the terrorism that's happening, the bomb threats, the schools having to close down, the city center having to close down, all that shit as a direct result, we believe, of, again, all this racist fear mongering.
A lot of employers there who say that the Haitian workers are helping fill jobs that they need desperately filled.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing.
There, again, that's just, Trumpism 101. You're fake news. You're the Lugan press. You're the lying press for calling me out on my bullshit. How dare you bring up the fact that I just told you a story of how there's at least 10 calls into 911 about Haitian immigrants eating pets. And she's like, so we looked that up. There's only been 2 calls, and those 2 calls, once research, turned out to not be true. So there's been 0 cases. None. Not a single actual instance of a Haitian immigrant in Springfield, Ohio, taking someone's pet and eating it.
Thing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting. The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator,
and
this
threats
happened
of violence.
after you and
But to
President
say,
Trump were on the debate stage, said
Dana,
that cats and dogs were being eaten.
You asked a question, Dana, and I'm going to go ahead and answer it. What we have said is that this town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now, you just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've...
You're the senator. What has the vice president specifically been doing to Springfield, Ohio? Specifically, the vice president of the United States. Can you please name, within her capacity and power, one thing that she has done to affect this? Whereas you can definitely point towards all of the... You guys have massive platforms. One of them was on the debate stage. You're going on like major news networks and stuff like that, and you're using your social media to, again, push this racist conspiracy theory. That has resulted in bomb threats, that has resulted in death threats, that has resulted in evacuations, that's resulting in the general life for people in this town becoming far worse.
Done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies. Are we not allowed to talk about these problems because some psychopaths are threatening violence? We can condemn the violence on the one hand, but also talk about the terrible consequences of Kamala Harris's open border on the other hand. Now, let me just fact check a couple of other things that you said, Dana, because it's important. You said that all of these migrants are in the country legally. They are in the country through what's called temporary protective status.
Right.
That is when Kamala Harris waved a magic amnesty wand, taking people and giving them legal status. That is not...
Oh, so it's magic. Oh, that's neat. I didn't know the vice president of the United States had those powers. That's interesting. So she just waved her magic amnesty wand, and then the border just opens up. It's like parting the waters, except it's the border wall. And then all of a sudden, it just all the immigrants come into the country.
That is not to say that they're here legally. That is a terrible indictment of her amnesty policies that have further opened the border and further caused terrible migration into this country.
Yeah, so you're again, if you're talking about amnesty and you're talking about people who have come to the country and who are granted amnesty, especially when it comes to people from other parts of the world that are fleeing difficult conditions, we're talking about legal. These aren't illegal immigrants who are flooding the country.
Not agree with the policy, and obviously you don't, which is totally fair and legitimate. There are policy disagreements all the time, but the fact is it is the law because President Biden and Vice President Harris are. But I don't want to frankly go down this conversation about policy because
you made a point. You don't. I agree. You don't want to talk about policy.
No,
Dana,
what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about
instead of about the fact,
Senator,
that
it was
Harris,
your distraction.
Dana, granted amnesty.
You were the one who started
level.
talking about eating dogs and cats.
Level.
You were the one who brought this
my
up.
Constituents
the president
were the
said
ones
it to
who talked
60
about eating
million
dog and
people.
cats, and I talked about it because you were ignoring this community. My constituents talked about
it. Have you been?
So he's also just flat out lying here because he is one of the persons, like, you know, definitely using his massive social media platform to promote this racist, xenophobic conspiracy theory. But then afterwards, rather than again being like, oh, okay, so it looks like state officials have said this isn't true, but I do genuinely have concerns about illegal immigration, something like that. Instead, he doubled down and was just like, keep the cat means coming, everybody. And now I'm getting phone calls from people who were saying that they've experienced firsthand this wave of Haitian immigrants eating their pets. So, I mean, I think the calls speak for themselves.
My responsibility to surface their concerns when the American media
ignores it. Have you been to
it.
Springfield?
Dana, I've been to Springfield probably 100 times in my life.
How about
100 times? Damn.
I've taken my children to get ice cream at Young's Jersey Dairy.
Have you heard recently since you've gotten...
I bet that's the most, like, if that story is true, it's got to be the most awkward thing that's ever happened. Where you walk in, it's like, oh, okay, what flavor do you guys want? Whatever works. Yes, good, yes. The good flavor, please. 4, please. Yes, good. All right.
Have I been in the last 4 days?
No,
I haven't been in the last 4 days, but I've talked to a lot of people in Springfield, Dana, and they're telling me this stuff is happening. Dana, would you like to ask me questions and then let me answer them, or would you like to debate me on these topics? I noticed that when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you gave them multiple choice
Oh, why are you being so mean to me? Why aren't you letting me use your platform for whatever I want to use your platform for? It's, again, because it's not your platform. If you're invited on, she is within her right to ask you whatever she wants. You can leave the call. You're welcome to do that, but you don't get to dictate the terms. Which, again, I know a lot of right-wing Republicans have kind of forgotten that. The whole MAGA crowd is like, oh, the media is fake news. But please, yes, bring me on for an interview so I can tell you how you're a propagandist and fake news.
Answers to the questions that you asked, and you allowed them to answer the questions. I'm happy to be here to talk about policy, but if you're going to interrupt me every single time that I open my mouth, then why am I even doing this? So please, ask a question.
Well, hi in here. Young's Dairy is in Yellow Springs. It's not in Springfield, actually. All right. Young's Jersey Dairy Farm in Yellow Springs, in Springfield, Xenia, Yellow Springs, Ohio. Open 11 to 9. Uh-oh. I'm sure it was just a little mix up there. I'm sure he knows what he's talking about.
And I'd ask you to be polite enough to let me answer it.
Yes, I am, and I think that if Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were making unsubstantiated claims that had racist undertones about people eating dogs and cats, and they didn't answer the questions about that, then I would have similar interactions with them. As you know, I am very grateful that you come on the show, as I am for other.
This is where you're giving him a win, by the way. If you're acting kind of like flustered, like, oh my, no, please, no, don't get upset. I'm just trying to ask you, based on the words you said out loud, your own words, again, and then you answered the question incorrectly and lied. So I just wanted to bring up the actual statistics on the crime. So that's, yeah, but I'm not trying to attack you and give you, some kind of unfair treatment here.
Republicans, but this is something that you're hearing from constituents. I did a lot of reporting. I talked to people in Ohio over the weekend, and they're really worried about these claims. The policies, yes, I am agreeing with you that what I heard is that there is concern that these migrants, there's a lot of them, and the integration isn't being done fast enough and well enough. And that's a totally legitimate conversation. But there are other conversations that are happening. Aiden Clark, who is an 11-year-old boy who was killed in Springfield last year. It was a car accident involving a Haitian immigrant. You said that he was murdered. His father said that's not true. It was an accident. Here's what he said to you.
Politicians, Bernie Moreno, Chip Roy, J.D. Vance, and Donald Trump. They have spoken my son's name and used his death for political gain. This needs to stop now. They are not allowed, nor have they ever been allowed to mention Aiden Clark from Springfield, Ohio. I will listen to them one more time to hear their apologies.
Senator, he's asking for you to apologize. Will you?
Dana, first of all, my heart goes out to the Clark family, and I don't bring their son's name up because they clearly expressed a preference for politicians to not bring their son's name up.
I'm just going to invoke it, and then hopefully everyone else can connect the dots. But I will keep saying how, yes, there was a young boy who was murdered viciously by Haitian immigrants, and that's one of the problems that's here. So, again, I'm going to honor his wishes, though.
I wish them all the best. I can't believe what kind of a tragedy they've experienced.
Oh, that's nice. What a nice guy.
But I'm still going to keep on talking about what the migrants have done to Springfield, Ohio.
There it is. Yeah. So I'm going to honor their wishes insofar as I won't literally use their son's name, but I will reference it multiple times and then use it for my own racist means. Yes.
And what Kamala Harris's open border has done to Springfield, Ohio. And Dana, I think this illustrates the entire contrast between how we're trying to go about this debate and how a lot of the Democrats are trying to go about this debate. They're talking about 12 Proud Boys marching in Springfield, Ohio. They're talking about the frankly fake debunkings of a lot of these stories that are out there. I'm talking to my constituents and I'm hearing terrible things about what's going on in Springfield, and Kamala Harris's open border policies have caused these problems. The hospitals are overwhelmed, Dana. The schools are overwhelmed. The local...
Yeah, I'm sure they're extremely overwhelmed now because they're getting fucking bomb threats from all this racist shit. Yeah. I'm like, listen to the mayor of Springfield, Ohio, who has said multiple times at this point, and including on CNN, that these stories are baseless, they're not based in reality, and that this is bringing a lot of negative attention to our town, and that please stop.
Services are completely overwhelmed. You have people who can't afford housing. Homelessness has gone up. Murders are up by 81% because of what Kamala Harris has allowed to happen to this small community. I'm going to keep on talking about that. Now, of course, we can criticize violence. We can also still talk about the problems that are happening in Springfield, and we should be able to do both those things simultaneously, Dana.
Just once and for all, you again started this in part by saying that, at which Donald Trump repeated on the debate stage, that, and he didn't say anything about the policies that you're talking about. He just said Haitians are eating dogs and cats. Can you affirmatively say now that that is a rumor that has no basis with evidence?
Dana, the evidence is the firsthand account of my constituents who are telling me that this happened. And by the way, I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media ignored it. There was a congressional hearing just last week of angel moms who lost children because...
So again, the answer is no. No. Are you going to admit that you lied? No.
Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to, create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering.
And that's the moment right there. And it's just so wild that that was him. That was all JD Vance. Right? It's not like there was a lead up to that where she was like, so you created a story, you fabricated a story. This is a fake story that you yourself have made. Can you talk about how you fabricated the story? No, he's just rolling, and then out of nowhere he's like, look, if I have to make up a story to get people to care about an issue, I will. I absolutely will.
Of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said that you're creating
a story.
About
public policy.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
Just one of the most glorious awkward silences ever. Where it's just like, I know you're just, you're running on autopilot right now. You're just spewing whatever you want, but you did just say a couple sentences ago that you created the story. Do you stand by that statement now? What was that? Sorry, I didn't quite. What did you say?
You just said that this is a story that you created. So.
Yes. Yeah, I made it up. I made it all fucking up. And? Were the cat memes not epic? Were the dog memes not epic? Were you laughing? I was laughing. Everyone's laughing.
So the eating dogs and cats thing is not accurate.
Dana, it comes from firsthand accounts from my constituents. I say that
there we go, and then he's reset, and we're back. But still, glorious. One of the biggest benefits of having JD Vance being just as deeply unlikable as he is that he's going to continue to do shit like this, where it's going to be like, I mean, you're getting a little bit more politically savvy. You've been a senator for a while. You've dealt with high stake interviews, stuff of this nature. But at the end of the day, there's no basis for you to stand on here, right? Like, you made up a racist conspiracy theory. It spread. The president of the United States, the ex-president, but still known as presidents, said it in the debate stage, and now it's resulting in bomb threats, death threats, actual acts of terrorism being committed against the residents of Springfield, Ohio, based on, again, your made-up, fabricated racist conspiracy theory, and now you're admitting out loud that you made it up. You made the whole thing up. We know you made it up. It's just, it's quite refreshing to hear you say that out loud. That's wonderful. Cool. Good stuff.
Hey, if you'd like to unlock secret bonus episodes as well as uncensored content, go to patreon.com/The Serfs. This show's produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Poppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Travis McClinton, Trincell, Words Greenwood. With additional support coming from all of these amazing human beings right here.